Well, hello everybody, Roger here, and welcome to my channel, Rogers Reads. So, in honor of Pride Month, I decided to do the A to Z book tag for LGBTQ queer fiction. This tag was originally created by George Lester, and I'll put a link down to his video below. If you don't follow George Lester, definitely check out his channel. He puts out some great content. I really like his channel. So I try to use different books than other videos that I've seen who did the same tag. I'm hoping that via all these different videos that you might find a new book or two that you might want to check out. Who knows, you might discover your next favorite book. So I chose Almost Like Being in Love by Steve Kluger. So Travis and Craig fall in love in their senior year and they have a really intense summer together. But unfortunately, they split and end up going to their respective colleges or universities. So 20 years later, Travis realizes that he's still in love with Craig and decides to go after him and win him back. Now, this is the first book that I read at the time that was in narrative, journal entries, letters, memos, checklists, and more, which there's quite a few in that format these days I've come across. But this was a fantastic book about that great first love, and another one of those books that I've read more than once. B, The Best Little Boy in the World by John Reed. So this is actually one of the first LGBTQ books that I read, and I can't even remember when it was written, I think in the 70s. But this was a memoir about growing up and coming to terms with being gay. So in the book, the character comes out very slowly and very humorously as well. It's a lovely book that I'm due to reread. I wonder if that initial magic will still be there. So anyway, C, The Case of the Not-So-Nice Nurse by Mabel Maney. This is a zany spoof of the Nancy Drew series, except that Mabel Maney calls her heroine Nancy Clue, and it's part of the Nancy Clue series, which are hysterical. And there's also the Hardly Boys, who also make an appearance. D, The Dreyfus Affair, a love story by Peter Lefcourt. So this book follows happily married baseball star Randy Dreyfus, who suddenly falls in love with the second baseman, and they end up having an affair and drama ensues. So this was published in 1993, and it was a classic of its time, a great book. So E, Everybody Loves You by Ethan Mordden. So this is part of Ethan Morden's Buddies series, and which can be read as standalones. This one features a gay ghost, a talking dog, and a street kid who thinks he's an elf child, and just to name a few of the zany characters in the book. F, Front Runner by Patricia Nell Warren. So this, along with The Best Little Boy in the World, was another one of the first LGBTQ themed books that I read. And this follows a track star who falls in love with his coach, and this is very edgy for its time. G, Geography Club by Brent Hartinger. So this follows Russell Middlebrook, who, along with several other gay kids at school, create a club, and they name the club something so boring that nobody in a million years would guess what it really is. And they named it the Geography Club. This is actually one of the books in this series, the Russell Middlebrook series by Brent Hartinger, which are all very good books. H, Hero by Perry Moore. So this is actually a gay superhero book, which I remember was a lot of fun. I really ended up loving it. It was one of those books that I was sad to see end. I, It Had to Be You by B.G. Thomas. So this follows Robert, who one day is shot and killed, only to wake up in the body of a man named Jimmy, who was also shot and killed, but in 1927. So this really ended up being a super sweet romance that I read a couple of times because I loved it so much. J, Just Between Us by J.H. Trumbull. So this is a beautiful story about young love and deals with some tough topics, but it was still a lovely book. This was kind of a sequel to another book by the same author entitled Don't Let Me Go, which I also love and recommend. K, Aquamarine by Mel Keegan. So this was a fun gay sci-fi novel involving kidnapping and a new subspecies of human. We read this for my in-person book club several years ago, and everybody really ended up liking it. L, Less by Andrew Sean Greer. So this is the only book in this list that I haven't read. And the only reason I'm mentioning it is because it's the winner of the Pulitzer Prize this year. And it's about a struggling novelist who travels the world to avoid an awkward wedding. And I think it's the wedding of his ex-boyfriend. Now this is definitely on my list to read. And I hope to read it within the next month or so. But since it's the Pulitzer Prize winner, I wanted to include it in this list. Okay, M, The Miseducation of Cameron Post. So I did a review of this book actually on this channel, and it follows a young teenage girl named Cameron who gets sent to the one of those pray away the gay camps, and I really ended up enjoying this book. N, Naked by David Sedaris. So David Sedaris is a gay writer who writes hysterically funny memoirs, and Naked is one of those memoirs. I love this book. His other books are definitely worth checking out as well. Oh, Bear, Otter, and the Kid by T.J. Klune. So this is a lovely book that follows Bear, who, after their mother left, is left to raise his brother Tyson, who's usually referred to as the Kid. Now the Kid is the most important thing in Bear's life. But when sparks fly between Bear and Otter, his brother's older best friend, all of their lives change forever. So there's plenty of drama here in this book to keep it interesting. And if you're not familiar with T.J. Klune's writing, I definitely recommend his other books. He puts out some great stuff. P, Out of the Pocket by Bill Konigsberg. So this follows a star quarterback named Bobby who's outed against his will by a student reporter. If I remember, this is a very humorous and uplifting story. Q, The Naked Civil Servant by Quentin Crisp. So this is a memoir that takes place in 1931, or starts out in 1931, when the author, Quentin Crisp, comes out as homosexual. This is also made into a very good movie starring John Hurt. R, Rainbow Boys by Alex Sanchez. So this is the first novel in the Rainbow High young adult series. And I actually have all three of them, which I plan on rereading very soon. I loved all three of them. It's been quite a few years since I've read them, so I'm definitely due to revisit them. S, Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda, written by Becky Albertalli. I've already talked a ton about this book on this channel, so go read it if you enjoy reading LGBTQ themed books. It's a great novel. T, Tales of the City by Armistead Maupin. So this is the first book in a wonderful series that was written in 1978 and follows a zany group of characters in the 70s who live in an apartment complex. This is probably one of my favorite series of all times. I can't remember how many there are. There was Tales of the City, more Tales of the City, further Tales of the City, and a few after that. Yeah, definitely a classic and worth the read. U, Uncle Sean by Ron Donahue. This follows 14-year-old Will Barnett and is a lovely coming-of-age novel that I really loved when I read it. V, Scorpio Hates Virgo by Anita Sunday. So this is a super sweet, slow burn gay romance that I absolutely adored. I read many of Ms. Sunday's subsequent books since then, and none of them have disappointed me. Yeah, so check her out if you enjoy gay romance. W, We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. We Are the Ants follows Henry Denton, a teen who for years now has been periodically abducted by aliens. So after these abductions have been going on for quite some time, the aliens finally communicate to Henry that the world is going to be destroyed in 144 days. But not all hope is lost. All Henry has to do is push a big red button to save the world. But the kicker is, Henry isn't sure that he wants to. So delightful read. I love all of Sean David Hutchinson's books, and this one was no exception. X, 6 of 1 by Rita Mae Brown. Okay, so I know the X in 6 is pushing it, but I couldn't think offhand of any books that began with X. So 6 of 1 by Rita Mae Brown. So this follows a zany group of women who live in a small town in Maryland, and this is a very funny and well-written book. I remember one of the women actually ends up stealing her brother's wife, so a lot of fun, 6 of 1. Why? Let Nothing You Dismay by Mark Donnell. So this is a wild and zany tour of a gay man's attempt to survive Christmas and families. I remember this is quite a heartwarming tale, and I ended up enjoying it. It's a great one to put on your list for the Christmas holidays. Z, Why Isn't Becky Twitchell Dead by Mark Zubro. So this is a Tom and Scott mystery. It is a series of mysteries which all stand alone. So this follows Tom Mason, a high school teacher who learns that one of his students has been accused of killing his girlfriend. He is asked to help clear the boy's name. So he, along with his lover, Scott Carpenter, a professional baseball player, work together to find out what really happened that night. And that is it for the A to Z or A to Z book tag for LGBTQ fiction. I also include below a link to a list of all the books, and include a link to all the books if you want to check them out further. How about you? What books would you add to this list? Let me know in the comments below. And that is it for this time. As always, I thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of your support. And I will talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.